Good afternoon, it's Dr. Bob here. Just wanted to give you a few quick announcements this week. This is week 5 for our urban sociology students, and I want to say I'm again very pleased at the progress I'm seeing in this course. Got a lot of really bright people. This week we're going to be looking at contemporary urban theory. And last week we looked at the classical folks, Marx, Parks, Burgess, some of these other folks, and their approach to urban research. So this week your discussion board question is asking about what are the best urban cities to research, basically what we're looking at, and why. Now keep in mind, in terms of urban studies here in the U.S., the classic model was Chicago. The University of Chicago was the original early school of sociology in the U.S. And what made Chicago so interesting is how much it grew in just a few decades from really a relatively small city, a lot of cattlemen, that sort of thing, until this large urban contemporary city where we suddenly had millions of people moving there, all different racial and ethnic groups and social classes, and how that changed how people interacted with each other and the growth of the urban environment. And some people have looked at Las Vegas sort of the same way, that started in the early 1900s as just a very small railroad stop. Then in the 30s and 40s the casinos began to take hold, but boy, from the 1970s on, it was just growth. And again, the same sort of thing happened. We had people coming from all over the place, all over the world, really, different cultures, religions, ideologies, job skills, social class, and it really changed the landscape of the city, and it changed the way that we interact with one another. Now, the postmodernists look at Los Angeles and see sort of these same things there. So these, again, are some of the things to keep in mind. More recently, in fact, I was part of a collaborative effort on a couple of these. North Dakota, if you're familiar with North Dakota, what they're going through right now is an oil boom. And again, they're seeing the same thing. These small rural cities are just taking off. Well, what's happening when you bring throngs of people in from all over the place? You have what Durkheim called anomie, or normlessness. No one knows what the new rules are. And as a result, you have an increase in deviance, alcoholism, prostitution, drug abuse, murders, suicide, sexual assault. All of these things skyrocket, right? Because you now have all these different groups packed into a small area, and you have this massive social interaction, but also you have trying to deal with the infrastructure around it. So we're seeing the same thing in China these days. Again, same sort of thing. All these factories, people came from the rural areas. You had tons of people moving into these cities. The population exploded. And now what we're seeing in China, I think it's kind of interesting, a little segue here, is we're starting to see some pushback from the people, just like we did in the United States in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Sort of attempts to unionize people, say, hey, we're not willing to work 16 hours a day for low wages in these dirty, unsafe conditions, spending every dime we have just to feed and put shelter over our heads. And we're starting to see some pushback, and as a result, wages are going up in China. But what's happening is the demand for Chinese products is starting to go down, and believe it or not, China is outsourcing some of their manufacturing now to smaller countries like Vietnam, places in India, Bangladesh. So anyway, these are some of the things to keep in mind when you're talking about what city you would research. I realize that many of you live in Los Angeles, so you're probably going to choose Los Angeles, which is fine. Okay, that's about all I have. The last thing I want to talk about is next week is your midterm exam, and that's the only thing you have to do next week. I kind of give you a break on that, so you have the entire week to work on it. Please take the week to work on it. It'll become available to you this Sunday night. I usually release those by Sunday night, so you should be able to see it at that point. Use the textbook, use outside academic sources. Please do not use the dictionary or Wikipedia. Those are not academic sources. Try to stay away from websites if you're going to cite them. stay away from them. Unless they're like an academic journal or a textbook or something like that. Try to use things like Google Scholar, academic journals. And that's all I got for you. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be talking to you soon. Bye.